Piggy Intercity is the game that Piggy fans have been waiting for like, I'm pretty sure like 3 or 4 years now, back when it was announced. I'm gonna be honest, I thought it was a joke because it just seems so freaking ambitious. Like, open world game. It was like me when I was like 14 and I wanted to make GTA 5. And like, yo, that's not happening. But for Piggy devs, it's actually happened and it's a released pretty polished game actually. And I think this game can make itself into one of Roblox's greats. Now, this game does have its problems. I played it when it first launched. This footage is from that period of time. I'm only recording this like 4 months or 6 months after its launch because of finals and then schoolwork and then freaking summer school. That's like not fun. But hey, we're getting this video out today. So basically, Piggy Intercity is like your ordinary open world game. There are missions, and you basically just do missions. And I've only played around like close to like an hour 30 of this, but there's like actually some places you can explore on the map, although it's not very encouraging. It doesn't encourage you a whole lot to explore, although because of course there's zombies everywhere, and I'm gonna get to it later, but the combat for this game is like but that's like something that most open world games have, is they have just enemies. And there are like some locations, like for example, this medical bay that's pretty cool, and you do get some items from it. Now, one thing that surprised me in this game is that there are actual dialogue options, and the dialogue options actually allow you to experience significantly different plot points in the story. Haven't played till the end, so I don't know exactly how extensive this is, but yeah, the fact that you can have branching missions makes this a very replayable game, which in terms of Roblox, big plus. You know, Roblox games are pretty one and done nowadays. Everyone just makes slop games, including me. But this is a game with lots of love put into it, and you can see that love just oozes out of this game. It is charming, it's classic Piggy, and it's just a great time just hopping on this and just going for like an hour or two. Now, granted, the missions are not bad, okay? They have waypoints, which is always a plus. You'll never get too lost, which you can, because you can look at the waypoints. I always hate open world games that which the devs assume that everyone's a genius and they figure stuff out immediately and they head for the right exit. And yes, it's true, waypoints do like decrease the immersiveness sometimes, but like it's just not fun running around like a maze for 10 minutes searching for the one door you have to go to, no matter if the door is like purple and glowing and whatever. Like, it's always, in my opinion, pretty good to have a waypoint. Now I'm gonna go to the negatives of this game. I have two main negatives that are deterring me from playing. I don't know how this game was coded architecturally. Combat in this game feels terrible. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. It would have been such a bother to me if you didn't need to fight so many enemies. There's infected things everywhere that you have to kill, and they actually do a lot of damage. And plus, in my experience, the combat feels very laggy. You swing at an enemy, it takes about 0.25 seconds for the hit to register and for you to see that like damage counter appear. And in that second, he's already hit you back. Like, the enemy feels like a 5-year-old with like a crappy phone on the other side of the world with 500 ping, who like gets you out of thin air and teleports around. Like, I'm exaggerating a bit there with the teleport around, but like the combat feels, it's very clunky. It never feels like it's your fault for like losing damage, losing hearts. And like, yeah, it's just not fun to fight enemies. And it's such a shame that like most missions are just fight enemies. And that's another thing. A lot of the missions take like a ton of time to do. I don't care if it takes a lot of time, it just has to be interesting, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's take a game, for example, like Helldivers. Now, I realize this isn't a fair comparison. Helldivers had like a ton of people working on it, and Piggy Intercity probably had 10 devs at most working full time, I'm guessing, maybe even less. So for them to pull off a game of this scale in Roblox, I'm already very like happy. However, it's like, if the game is not engaging, I don't really care who made the game. I'm gonna play a different game. If the missions are literally just go around to the exact same enemy and kill them 20 times like what you do in Blocks Fruits, like, no. You think I'm playing your game? So yeah, that's my main gripe. Like with a game like Helldivers 2, as I was saying, the whole point of the game is to literally just kill enemies. It's the same gameplay loop, and on the surface, it's very boring. However, the enemies have very dynamic attacks. There's also a party element because that game is a party game. Because Roblox is multiplayer, I would love the option for, I know it's a big ask. Multiplayer in a game is always a big undertaking, but for missions especially, multiplayer can make it way more interesting. And I feel like the gameplay of the missions just needs like way more variety. Like we need some mechanics. Like of course you can argue that eating foods to heal yourself and like just whacking your sword and like dealing damage and like I guess like maneuvering around the enemies is like fun and like a cool mechanic, but like that stuff isn't interesting. That's like the stuff that when you make a game, it's like, okay, that's expected. That's the stuff that you implement first and you implement in your design. But you need something to make your game fun, right? I'm going to take another example, which is Poppy Playtime. Now, Poppy Playtime has a ton of faults. I hate that game's gameplay. However, it does have a unique mechanic, which is the grab pack. And basically, that feature alone makes a lot of the puzzles way more enjoyable to play. Now, what have they done with the grab pack is a bit opposite of what Piggy Intercity has been doing. They've just been adding without adequate testing and testing if it was actually fun. But like I feel like Piggy Intercity could use some like unique mechanics. Again, I know I'm reiterating on this, but for most of the game, to what I've seen so far, you're just like walking through grass and just walking through to a waypoint, which itself isn't the most engaging, as I hope you can tell. So yeah, I think this game has a ton of potential. However, I do feel like there are some big issues that can really deter people from playing this game, and especially on a platform like Roblox where a lot of competition is actually there, especially with newer audiences coming in and all that. You need your game to engage. And I know Piggy has a very dedicated fan base who would definitely full completion this game. However, like there are just some moments where I just feel like, yo, I don't want to play anymore. So yeah, those are my thoughts. If you disagree, agree, please let me know in the comments. I love to read them. And yeah, see ya.